Hey you guys, it's Andrea Olson with Good Diaper Free, and I'm in my studio today to record Good Diaper Free Podcast episode 145, How to EC an Extremely Fussy Baby. So let's begin. Welcome to the Good Diaper Free Podcast, where we're all about helping you potty your baby as early as birth. I'm your host, Andrea Olson, author and mom of 5 babies, all EC'd from birth, all out of diapers by walking. This is episode 145. How to EC an extremely fussy baby. So you can read the written version of today's show over at goodiaperfree.com/145, where I'm going to also conveniently link to anything I mentioned in today's episode. I'll also be replying to comments over there, so come on by when you're finished. So today I share about how to EC an extremely fussy baby. To help you figure out why your baby is so fussy in the first place, what works in terms of doing EC anyway, and overall, how to manage this difficult wrench in the perfect bicycle tires of, I'm totally doing EC from birth. This is all about how to do elimination communication if your baby is fussy. If this is you, please stick with me and we will help solve this. So my friend Michelle just had her third sweet baby after a 12-year baby-making hiatus with her love of her life, her new partner, and she was all set to start EC with her newborn. She got a top hat potty. I gave her my book. Completely ready, you guys, but her baby has been so fussy from day one. So I checked in with her a few weeks ago and said, hey, how's EC going, Michelle? And she said, I'm so bummed. I haven't started EC yet because my baby's so fussy. I'm trying to figure that out first, and I'm going to wait a while to start EC. So I had some ideas for her and some idea of what might be going on. And I was also reminded of a few of our readers' questions from a few years ago. So today I decided that I should share about how to EC an extremely fussy baby to show what works and how to manage this difficult wrench. And like I said, this can really derail everything. This can cause you to not start EC until 8, 9, 13, 14, 20 months, which is actually a little bit too late. So just be aware that we need to deal with the fussiness, of course. And I had a very special bit of information for Michelle that I'll share with you in a few minutes on this episode that completely solved their problem, and now they're on track. So here's the question from a while back on this very topic, followed by another question, because let me tell you, there are only about 30 unique questions that people ever ask about EC to me personally. And this is one of them. This is a big one. So the question was from Kessa in Waco, Texas. My son Samuel was a very fussy baby the first 4.5 months of his life. He fussed all the time, day and night. And if you think that I am exaggerating, I have friends and family who can give testimony to this also. Today he is 7.5 months old, and he really didn't turn a happier corner until he was about 6 months. With all of his fussiness, practicing EC seemed overwhelming since we were barely surviving with a crying baby. Oh my gosh, you guys, my daughter, this is Andrea here, Isadora cried, we timed it like 7 hours a day. And she was only awake like 7 hours and 15 minutes a day. It was terrible. Anyway, back to Kessa. His cues were also very hard to read since he was generally an unhappy baby all the time. Most of his fussiness had to do with the fact that he was a terrible sleeper, naps lasting 30 minutes or less, and awake every 1 to 2 hours at night. And when he became a better sleeper, he became a happier baby, which makes sense. We never found a medical cause to all his fussiness. I ended up giving up on EC, though, because we were just so overwhelmed in general with all the crying and terrible sleeping. We nursed a lot just for comfort. I could probably start now because we are very in tune with each other, and his cues are much more distinct. But when he turned 6 months old, I started back at my part-time job, and I wanted to learn this when I was at home full-time with my son. So she felt a lot of regret, obviously. So I guess my question is multifold. Primarily, how do you practice EC when your baby is fussy all the time and his cues are hard to read? How do you start at 7 to 8 months old? I know this is not a unique question, but I could use a refresher. Thanks for asking if we had any questions. So I'll start with a little answer. Well, all I said was thanks for a wonderful question, Cass. I'll answer it while also considering this other similar question from Val in Canada. And I do want to share this with you guys because I feel like maybe you'll hear yourselves in this story or somebody you know. So this is from Val in Canada. My 4-month-old baby is special. No, seriously. I have one of those special babies that are extra fussy, don't nap well, can't be put down, require co-sleeping. These demands turn out to be good for both baby and parents. However, having a special baby means that things seem to come so easily for others, are harder or more difficult for us. I want to be more committed to EC, but my little guy seems to always be going through something. Vaccinations, developmental milestones, first cold, first tooth. That causes more fussiness and sleep disturbances, all of this. He's just plain fussy. My little guy resists the potty because, let's face it, it's a waiting game and he just does not want to wait that long. This often results in diaper catches. I like how she puts that. How do you EC the fussy baby? Thanks, Val. Val is in Prince George, British Columbia, Canada. Val, you and Kessa seem to have similar challenges, definitely similar. And I'd be happy to help practice some sort of EC through all of this. By the way, my baby, my first one, matched yours both to the T. Fussy through and through for a good 9 months. Once he was super mobile and saying some basic words, the fuss just simply fell away. Now he's spirited and requires extra gentle yet firm discipline and boundaries. And the fuss and spiritedness have been overshadowed with a very kind, very patient, gentle toddler who has quite a personality. So obviously this child I'm talking about is now 10. So I initially wrote these questions and answers back in, 8 years ago. And this young man now, he's 10, is still spirited, still requires extra discipline and boundaries, and is still very special. All right, so first, you guys, let's get to the bottom of the fuss, okay? It sounds like you've both got a good handle on whether there's a medical issue behind the fuss. It's always good to start there. So they clearly ruled out things. Is there a UTI? Teething, growth spurt, a reaction to a vaccination, a GI issue, reflux. We want to treat or address any medical issue first to reduce the amount of overall fuss, right? That's the first step. Which brings me to a huge aha moment I've had and many others in our community have had. This is something I didn't know with my first or my second or my fourth, who were all a bit fussy, especially the first and the second. And my fifth was super fussy. And let me share that story. I want to know, Michelle definitely was in this boat. Are you dealing with an undiagnosed tongue tie or lip tie? So these can cause baby's tongue to tire out while nursing, resulting in sucking in a lot of extra air. They might be smacking or might seem like baby is getting enough milk or too much maybe. Anyway, this extra air causes major gas, which causes a super fussy baby and difficulty sleeping. All of the symptoms both Kessa and Val named, and back then I wish I would have known about ties because they generally tend to resolve themselves. Usually by about 6, 9, 12 months, the baby has adapted to it, right? But early on, you guys, if you have a very fussy baby who's like waking up after 30 minutes of being asleep, there's a lot of things, like very gassy, won't be laid down, has to be on your skin day and night, all the time. Might want to rule out a tie. So you might notice the smacking. It might seem like they're getting a lot of milk, so you're not worried about weight gain. So you don't think you have a lactation issue. Your nipples may bleed or crack and have a hard time adjusting to the baby's latch and seem to never really recover. Even with a good latch, a tie may be present. There are inverted tongue ties and lip ties, or mostly tongue ties are inverted. So if you've got a fussy baby, let's look inside the baby's mouth, look up some pictures on Google, and rule this out. I wish I had known about this 10 years ago because this ties into EC. How easy is it to EC a fussy baby? It's a little bit harder because everything's a cry and they cry a lot. So it's hard. I am a bit heartbroken that I very likely raised 3 of my 5 babies without knowing they may have had a tongue tie or lip tie, that I could have had it resolved, and therefore their fussiness would have been solved permanently. But, you only know what you know when you know it. But my fifth, I did know it. I posted a picture of her nonstop crying every time I laid her down on the bed on Instagram. And a few, actually like 5 or 6 of my followers pointed out her heart-shaped tongue and said I should rule out tongue and lip ties. Sure enough, I pulled my 7-week baby's lip up. I just looked up in it because you can handle your babies, don't worry. And I found a double lip tie, like a level 4 out of 5 of seriousness. And then her tongue was an involuted or inverted tongue tie. So you couldn't really tell, like you'll see the skin kind of attaching closer up to the teeth in a prominent tongue tie, but in an inverted one, you can't really tell. So you have to look up pictures. In any case, I found Dr. Chambers here in Asheville, who is the foremost tie resolver in America. Really, he's amazing. And I had it resolved the very next week with a quick laser zap by the best doctor. And it was hard for me to let somebody take my baby into the other room, even after 5. But the worst part was the stretches I had to do with her with little Q-tips or long Q-tips for the next 3 weeks. They were terrible for both of us, but it was just a few minutes a day, just actually a few seconds a day. And I did them religiously because without doing them, the tie will reattach. Within about 5 days of the surgery, you guys, Twyla stopped sucking air, was instantly less fussy, less gassy, slept better, everything improved. And this mama right here was instantly way happier and better rested. It literally changed our lives. So I know I spent a lot of time on that. This isn't necessarily a podcast about ties, but if you have a fussy baby and you have any of the above symptoms, please get it checked out or check it out yourself. All right, last. Harvey Karp's The Happiest Baby on the Block is that if you rule out tongue ties, you rule out all these other possible medical issues, we're going to have to just soothe this very fussy, spirited baby until they grow out of it. So The Happiest Baby on the Block is a nice resource for soothing fussiness with their 5S system. So the 5 S's, I don't actually remember all of them right now. I know some of them are shushing, swaddling, swinging. So often you'll get them tight in a swaddle. Oh, sucking, put a pacifier or a breast in their mouth and swing them back and forth like really vigorously. That's some of the S's. You can look those up. We used this with my very fussy first 2 babies, and it worked wonders during months 0 through 5. So check that out if you want to. There's a link in the show notes over at godiaperfree.com/145. And of course, having firm boundaries with the fussy type of baby as they become mobile is priceless. More on that in a second. So detecting the signals beneath all the fuss. So we've got a fussy baby. Maybe we have or haven't been able to resolve the fuss. How do we tell when they're signaling? So you already have the fun job of trying to figure out what your fussy baby wants under all that fussing. Is it hunger, sleepiness? Is it discomfort or pain? Is it the temperature in the room? Is it not enough action or interesting things to observe? Like you're just sitting there staring at them all day and they're bored. You've got your job cut out for you, mama. All you have to do to detect potty signals amidst all the fuss is to treat it like any other basic need. So just keep a loose tab on all the baby needs throughout the day. Integrate them all into your schedule as you are forced to do with sleep and feeding, right? Sleeping and feeding have totally changed your schedule, and you now have something of a rhythm, right? Be diffusely aware of when those collective needs arise throughout the day. So you'll start to get a little pattern, and you can write it down if that helps you. All you have to do there is just expand your awareness to include potty needs, signals, and rhythms. So we're going to make it part of the cycle of raising the baby. I have other podcasts about this as well, the baby raising cycle, and it's also in my book, where when they wake up, you potty them, then you nurse them. Then the first fuss after 10 minutes after eating, within 5 to 10 minutes, is a signal. So if you only do the wake up and you do that first fuss after feeding, and you do that throughout the day, that can be really helpful. Okay, so in order to expand and integrate EC into your already existing schedule, you got to begin EC in a structured way. You can do that with my book, Go Diaper Free, or you might be absolutely lost in a sea of confusion and fuss. So how to start and do elimination communication with a fussy baby. So in order to begin EC with an infant, you must do it in a structured way. This is not to say that you need to have the timer out and a pen in hand, although some of you would like that. And it's not to say you will be hovering over and analyzing every single pee and poop because you will both go insane. However, it is to say that you must acquire a solid understanding of what EC is, what it looks like, and how to begin. My book comes with a video library, so you can see all that in action. Next, figure out from what you've learned how best to begin the process within your family, your lifestyle, your schedule. And then last, to actually do it, just actually commit, if even for part-time, which is extremely common. About 50% of people just only do it part-time. And then execute. Somebody told me that they were told, just take the diaper off and there you've started. And that's literally all it takes. So with potty training or EC, the starting point is the most important determinant of your success. How do you start? In fact, without it, you'll still be swimming in a sea of confusion. So I'm going to plug my book here again because it is the best resource on beginning EC with a 0 to 18-month baby. You can grab a copy at godiaperfree.com/the book. or you can read how it's helped other parents like you to begin EC over on that same page. Okay, so basically beginning looks like naked observation. Although, let me just also plug my newborn course, Baby Meets Potty. Grab my book and my newborn course if you have a 0 to 12-week-old baby. Because starting with a newborn is a little bit different. You can just do the wake-ups and that 10-minute fuss. And there are a lot of tricks and a lot of live footage of my babies at hours, minutes, weeks old. And that's called Baby Meets Potty. It's at godiaperfree.com/newborns. So anyway, beginning could be naked observation time, making sound associations. So when they go, you pss, or along with them. And beginning to offer your baby potty opportunities based on what I like to call the 4 roads to potty time. So these are baby signals. They're natural timing and rhythms. So you will time that after waking and feeding, and all this is outlined in my book. Generic timing or transition times like at a diaper change or waking up or taking him out of the car seat. Transitions, right? And the 4th one is your intuition. Now, how do you adapt this to the fussy baby though? Well, like I said before, you'll have to decode which fuss is for which need. Which is hungry? Usually it's the one right after they wake up, right? Well, it could be potty, hungry, same. Which fuss means hold me? Which fuss means I'm sick? And which one means I'm tired? Over time, trust me, you will decode them all. You and your baby are here to survive and thrive. You will synchronize and you will get the hang of all of the messages through the fuss. You might want to also look up Dunstan baby language because it talks about different kinds of cries and what they sound like. The one for discomfort is most like the potty signal. Okay, so back to this. Maintaining, well, let's also just say that you need to have a good attitude about it to make ECing a fussy pants much easier, and we'll talk about that in a second. So maintaining an EC practice with a fussy baby might be affected by a few other things. Your baby might be fussing because of all the clothing that you have to remove, and the process of disrobing might be upsetting him. So just try using chaps with a diaper and a cover over the chaps, making for a super quick, easy on and off. And you can get those at tinyundies.com. Also, your baby might be fussing extra hard because of a cold potty seat. So see my post on potty cozies. I've linked to it in the show notes. And lastly, I have another post on separation anxiety and them not wanting to sit. Those might help you whether your baby's fussy or not. So here's a little bit about the parenting attitude that's necessary to parent and EC a fussy baby, because I've had a lot of them. And so have our community members. So after you've ruled out anything medical or physiological, and you're just dealing with a fussy, temperamented baby, that's just how they are, it's time to upgrade your parenting attitude to match this challenge. You've got to be matter of fact and do less talking. This will cause you to emanate confidence. You will radiate confidence and ease to your baby, whether you actually feel that way or not. If you do EC and parent with more confidence, knowing the fact that your baby is fussy does not mean that you're an awful parent or doing an awful job parenting. And it also doesn't mean the fussiness will never end. It will. Your baby, when you start to show more confidence, your baby will ironically eventually relax and become less fussy. Seriously. The fuss will transform into spiritedness, like my first son, and like Dr. Sears' book, The Fussy Baby, mentions. I've linked to that in the notes. And you'll have to set firm boundaries and use gentle yet firm discipline as well. I happen to like a book called Mean Mom's Rule, and I'll make sure to link to that in the show notes. So this discipline should start as soon as you feel things are out of balance. That's your intuition. Remember, discipline is teaching. That's what it translates to. And your baby needs good boundaries and to feel secure. They thrive with boundaries. Oftentimes, babies fuss because they are sensing all sorts of worry and fear and anger and resentment and nervousness. Not your fault, but some of it could be coming from you, and it's something to keep tabs on. Just work on relaxing yourself. And I know, it's easier said than done. Also, don't put your baby into a box of fussy. This baby's labeled fussy from now on. Just allow some room for that to transform. So shift your expectations to what you hope he or she will be like in the future, because they all do change, don't they? And any older person will tell you they change very quickly. Again, sometimes the fuss can be exacerbated by a nervous, fearful, or upset parent. So if you don't know what you're doing, learn what you're doing. Get my book, please, or the newborn course, or both. I mean, they're both really good. Yeah. So if you're nervous or you just don't know what the heck you're doing, it's okay. We've all been there before. Just counter this by being more matter of fact, short-winded, just talk less and don't over-explain. Don't narrate. I don't know whoever told people to narrate their children's every move. It's terrible. Don't do that. Don't over-coddle. Just get the basics taken care of to make her feel secure and warm and loved. And, baby wearing is also super helpful. Get some help so you can just have like non-crying time for a little while. And eventually the baby will learn that fussiness isn't necessary. I've got my basic needs covered. Mom's figuring me out. Dad's figuring me out. I'm good. Of course, as I suggested earlier, please do see if there are any medical reasons for the fussiness, especially ties, okay? And if there aren't, take charge. This won't hurt your baby. You won't hurt your baby by being good at getting her basic needs met and giving her love, while also loving yourself by relaxing and not blaming yourself and not trying to be like this super mom or super dad. Just keep it really simple. Keep it to the basics, trust me. So thank you for the great questions, Kessa and Val, and thank you to Michelle, who was just open with me about their process and looked into the ties and had those resolved as well. And I hope that I'm going to check in on her today, actually. How's EC going now? So in the comments over at the show notes, godiaperfree.com/145, please let me know, do you have any experience ECing and parenting a very fussy baby? If so, please leave your tips, advice, and stories of how you handled it in the comments below, over there on that page. And that's it. Head over and let me know. Have you experienced this? Because we often learn from you. I learn new things every day about EC. We'd love to hear from you. Till next time, happy pottying, y'all. I'm Andrea Olson, and you've been listening to the Go Diaper Free podcast at godiaperfree.com. We'll see you next time. All right, that's it. Please subscribe and hit the like button if you like this, and more people will find out about EC. And definitely put in the comments below right here. Don't even need to leave this video. Have you been dealing with a fussy baby? And if so, what have you been doing? What's been working? What hasn't? Has this episode helped you at all? I really hope it has. I'm Andrea, and I'll see you next time.